What did you expect beyond from played out in Washington and
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. I'm going to leave it to Ishwar to kind of decode what this means for the moment. But let me just say, as an Indian American, what I think this means for India. I actually think now the battle lines of the red lines have been drawn very clearly. And the countries that are going to emerge from this stronger are the ones which focus on the factors that are under their control rather than worry about issues which are out of their control. America is out of their control. Trump is out of their control. Issues around globalization and tariff are out of their control. What's in our control is to make our strong economy really, really strong. How do we do that? I think we know the route to that very well. It's through labor reform, it's through land reforms, it's through making the ease of doing business in India really, really effective. And we've got to really cut out the noise out of it. The second thing I will say this, with all humility, I think when Prime Minister Modi pushed back and refused to do that deal on the terms that everybody was saying it should be, even if you remember your interview with Fareed Zakaria, like the point was, what's the wrong thing? Do the deal, say whatever needs to be said. And I think history will show that, perhaps Prime Minister Modi and India were right in not doing it. Because the people who did all of this, whether it was UK and others, what did they get? They bought 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of time before that deal was thrown into the garbage and they were threatened with more tariffs. On the other hand, India has its dignity intact. India has the chips right. And I think we should really capitalize now on the movement, whether it is through trade treaties with other countries, whether it is about getting our own house in order. And if we can do that, that's what we should focus on and cut the rest out as noise.
Professor Ishwar Prasad, the world's leading economist, and I'm very curious to think not just about what he said about business and economy, but geopolitics and geopolitics. What do you see
this is a very important moment because I think it does suggest a significant rupture in the international order, which the United States had set up to a large extent. And in particular, it is striking that we're seeing the rupture in what has been a very long-standing and very solid, rock-solid alliance on the military, economic and geopolitical fronts. So the West is sort of splintering. And the speech that Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, gave yesterday provided the rest of the world's perspective on this issue. While today, I think we heard a very clear statement from Trump about the American perspective on this issue, which is largely to go it alone, and countries that are going to be in the American sphere of influence are those that buy in completely into the Trump vision of the world.
Nobody seems to be buying in completely, whether it's God or it's not a big deal.
That's absolutely true. And Trump seems fine with that. The other interesting development, of course, is that China is keen to take on the mantle of being the protector of the multilateral rules-based order. Now, the question is whether it is able to take the ground that the US has ceded. And there are certainly some countries that will see this as an opportunity to get into a closer embrace with China. But I think the reality, as Professor Dhaliwal correctly pointed out, is that every country is to a large extent going to be on its own because they caught between these two very unsavory extremes, neither of which is very appealing, and nobody wants to get into a very close embrace with the US right now because it is seen as an untrustworthy ally, and nobody quite trusts China as well. So in a sense, it is going to be up to every country to ensure the resilience of its own economic policies and of its policy-making structure.
On Greenland, do you think he's negotiating, or is this really what he wants and he won't stop with anything less than actual ownership of Greenland?
It's hard to tell. It was sort of encouraging that he said that he will not employ force, but I think there was an implicit threat in there that if the NATO countries don't come around and cede to his vision of the US controlling Greenland, there is going to be some ugliness ahead. It's not clear what form this ugliness will take. It will probably start with tariffs. I hope that reason will prevail and that there will be no military action of any sort. But with Trump, you cannot count out anything.